Security agencies in Nigeria have said they will not condone anarchy in the guise of a nationwide protest. The agencies say intelligence reports show that the reasons are political, and those reasons are capable of destabilizing the nation. Arise News correspondent Ferdinand Durua reports.
It is less than 1 week before the planned nationwide protest fixed for August 1, 2024. While some citizens have vowed to exercise their constitutional rights to show their grievances over increased hardship in the country through protest, security agencies are warning citizens to be cautious. The Department of State Services says it has uncovered the sponsors and funders of the protest, even as it claims that the protest is politically motivated. Similarly, the Nigeria police have appealed to the organizers of the planned protest to shelve the idea, as it might be hijacked by miscreants, bandits and kidnappers, thereby thwarting the original intention of the protesters.
We will remain committed to providing protection for those who engage in peaceful protest. That I made very clear in my address. If the protest is peaceful, you will see us protecting the protesters for as long as they remain peaceful. But we have a duty to protect lives and property. So we will not sit back and watch hoodlums burning down our facilities in the name of protest. That we will not condone.
Meanwhile, the Defense Headquarters says the Nigerian military will not be bystanders while the nation is torn apart. Addressing the media during its bi-weekly briefing on operational activities of the armed forces, the Director, Defense Media Operations, says it will not condone anarchy in the guise of a nationwide protest.
Already, we have detected some unscrupulous elements bent on hijacking the planned protest with the aim of making it violent. Many are therefore following in ignorance. For instance, other targets that have been labeled include places of worship, businesses, markets, ethnic groups, and members of other political parties, among other items and areas targeted. Accordingly, the level of violence being envisaged can only be described as a state of anarchy. The armed forces on its part will not stand by and allow anarchy to befall our nation.
The military cited the protest in Kenya, which turned violent and led to the death of several persons. Ferdinand Durua, Arise News.
Joining us now is Mike Ejiofor, former director of the Department of State Services and President Alumni Association of the National Institute for Security Studies. Good morning, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, for joining us. Well, I've seen the statement.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yes, morning. I've seen the statement by the Alumni Association. Basically, you are also saying the same thing that the Nigerian government is saying, that the right to protest is sacrosanct, Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution, and so on and so forth. But that anarchy is not acceptable. And we've seen quite a number of groups, civil society groups, the ulamas, traditional rulers, security agencies, all more or less saying the same thing. Well, what's your take generally? Do you think this strike will still take place, given the fact that the gestation process, has been so long? I mean, from a security point of view, with this long gestation process, with everybody getting involved, will it even be wise for anybody to go on any strike?
Well, I think I must first of all appreciate the organizers of the protest because it's their legitimate right to protest as enshrined in our constitution. This is a democracy. But I think they did us a lot of good by giving sufficient notice to government of their intentions to go on the protest. And you can see the swell ground of appeals from various stakeholders, various interest groups, appealing to them to shelve the plan. No matter how good the intentions are, I believe that this will be hijacked eventually. You remember what happened at Endsars and the amount of property destroyed and the loss the nation and individuals even incurred. Now, looking at this, their demands, we all agreed that there's hardship in the country, there's economic hardship, there's hunger, and there's anger in the land. But again, people who are more hungry now will exploit the opportunity to even loot people's shops, and they eventually turn violent. So that's why I personally will continue to appeal to the organizers to shelve the plans, give government time to look at it. Fortunately, the president is consulting various interest groups. He has met with governors, he has met with party leaders, he has met with religious leaders and traditional rulers, and so on. And I think it's only wise that government is giving time to look at this, and the president too should not only stop at consulting these various interest groups. The ordinary man in the street needs also to know what is happening, because some people don't even have electricity to look at television to know what is going on, even though the social media is helping to propagate all these news items. I think the president needs to directly speak to the people, maybe making a national broadcast. This will help in dousing the situation. I believe that Nigeria, if we have any protest that will turn violent, will be worse for it, and the country will be worse for it. So there is need to give time to government, just like the traditional rulers. I saw the Oni of Ife, Oba of Benin, all issue statement appealing to the people. So we must listen to reasoning now that people have been coming. Let's engage more now.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ejiofor. In the press release, which you signed as president as ANISS, you talk about and you acknowledge that the right to protest is guaranteed for every Nigerian citizen by the Constitution. And beyond that, you applaud the efforts of the president in what he has done so far in trying to meet the needs of the people. But the concern for a number of people, and I would like to ask if you share this concern, is that on one hand, you say that protest you have a legitimate right to go out to protest. On the other hand, efforts to protest, to peaceful protests by Nigerians are being, in very loose words, condemned, discouraged, not had. So where do we find the balance whereby you're saying one thing, that it's your right to protest, and on the other hand, as a result of hijacking, which security agencies have said they've gotten intelligence, so I wonder why they don't act on that intelligence in order to protect the right of Nigerians to exercise what is their legitimate right. Where do we find that balance? Because it almost seems as if there would never be a good time for a peaceful protest at this rate.
Well, the balance is there. First of all, citizens have right to protest. The security forces and the country in general, because the primary purpose of government is welfare and security of the people, have also the right to protect the people. So if the protest is peaceful, the security agencies, I heard the IG in your intro saying that people will be protected. Nobody is saying they should not protest. But again, if you protest and it turns violent, the government has a statutory mandate of protecting innocent citizens. So the point remains that people have the right to protest as long as it doesn't turn violent. But if it turns violent, government also has the responsibility to protect the state and innocent citizens. So I don't think there's any problem in the balancing.
Oga Michael, good morning, sir. Good to talk to you, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oga Mike, couple of things. Number one, you were director of DSS at around the time President Jonathan was in power. And we had frequently these protests, but they never degenerated. How you take do and then? And they were very peaceful, that DSS didn't need to harass us and all of that. You remember Ojota, where this country was shut down for the first 12 days in January? Nobody, except for that case of Demola Yayabata, which was an overzealous police officer, which was punished. Everything went smoothly. I'm sure you people too gathered and said, how not they do and then? Oga Michael.
Rufai.
Oga Michael.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you don't make me lose my line of thought now. So the issue remains, Rufai. You are very funny. You see, the issue remains that the protest of 2012 and the protest of 2015 were quite different. The demands were different. The demands of 2015 were different. The organizers were different. The president even admitted that he is one of the protesters. He has been protesting. He has been part of it. Now, in the 2015, the Endsars protest, that was majorly organized by the youths. And if you recall that at the beginning of that protest, they were peaceful until it was interjected by other interest groups. This might not come from government. Like I said initially, other groups who are, some people see this government as the best government whatsoever because of their personal interest, not because of national interest. So anything that can jolt the smooth running of the government, they will also represent their own interest now, not the interest of government. So that's why we're afraid that it might be hijacked. Some people might tell you that this APC government is not doing well. Others will tell you that this is the best government we have had. So you have conflicting interests. So that is why it is necessary that for now, because of enormous security challenges we have, we should not compound our problems by engaging in more protest. And on the other side, the SSS has said they have identified the sponsors of this and their funding. I am not in the service. I'm out of the service. They have their intelligence. They have what it takes because they briefed the president.
Okay,
and possibly that is why the president has been consulting. But wait, let me land on this.
Okay,
there are other issues that is agitating my mind. The issue of provocative and some statements that the president aides are making that are likely to provoke people, you know, giving it political meaning, giving it ethnic coloration, religious connotation, and what have you. These are not helping issues. Once we have stayed on the line of appeal to the people, we'll continue to appeal to the people to shelve this plan because it's going to compound our problems.
Okay, Michael, I put it to you that the circumstances are not different. In fact, what a lot of people are asking for is reversal of prices to pre-subsidy time. That was exactly what they were protesting against in 2012. Okay, Michael, I also put it to you that those protests were very daring. In fact, they were carrying mock coffins of the head of states. But we never heard that DSS apprehended any one of them. I put it to you that those protests were really very daring. It was very hard. But I also put it to you, it was the temperament of the president on ground that respected the rights of the people that kept you, people, from using force against them. Why can't that same temperament be extended as good courtesies to the people? And also, please, Michael, fact check me. Femi Falana said yesterday, or day before yesterday, in a media interview, that when the violence started was when some thugs affiliated to top political figures were unleashed on the protesters in Alausa. You can go and watch that tape. Till today, most of those thugs were never brought to book by the government. In fact, Dejiade Yonju released another circular or another something that somebody sent him a message that they are mobilizing some people to disrupt the protest on the side of political figures. What do you say about all of these points, sir? Oga Michael.
Well, Rufai, all these things you are putting to me, the circumstances, I agree with you, are the same, 2012 and the present one, because they are asking for an end to bad governance, subsidy, and the rest of them. But again, if you look at 2015, that one didn't turn violent. The 2012 didn't turn violent. One, because of the body language of the sitting president then. He allowed everything to go. And the situation was not as bad as what we have now. Now it can be exploited because people are hungry now, people are desperate and want to use anything to ventilate their anger. And that is why the president is saying, or the government is not saying, people should not protest, but that it should not turn violent. If you look at the 2015, like I said when in my earlier submission, 2015 was mainly organized by youths. And the demands were quite different, which was why it turned violent. The protest was aimed particularly against police brutality. You recall how it started from Delta State, and they were talking of police, and they say Endsars. Not only that, as they were talking of Endsars, they were maximum force used to suppress the riots, not protest this time, the riots, because it had degenerated from protest to riot. But in 2015, people gathered, in 2012, people gathered, they were there organizing their protests peacefully, nobody worried them. If it is going to be like that this year, I don't think government is in any way stopping anybody from protest. But the fear is very high that these protests will be hijacked. The fears are there, everybody, and that's why everybody is talking. I have not seen a protest that is being organized, that appeal has been made.
Well, Mr. Ejiofor,
as much as this very protest that
Mr. Ejiofor,
yes.
If I may come in here, two things. What the security agencies have done is to assess what is called the threat level. And their conclusion is that the protest is likely to be hijacked. They are not saying do not protest, but they say it's likely to be hijacked. Yes. And if it is hijacked, they will do their job. Right? Okay, it's part of their function to assess threat level.
Yes.
But the second part is that do they have the capacity to contain the same threat level that they are defining? Because if anything happens, we hope they will not come back, or we will not hear stories about failure of intelligence, and that intelligence failed. In this case, intelligence cannot fail, because this is a crisis that is already foretold if it happens. Or is it the case that, as some people are suggesting, that all the security agencies are so hyperactive as an opportunity to ask for funds, additional funds, so that they will say they need money to check the protests in case it happens. And even if it doesn't happen, at least they won't have to return the money. You have been there. You know how it works.
But it's not the security agency. It's not the security agency that is organizing the protest, so they shouldn't be. But if there are emergencies like this, government has to provide funds for it. Now, you talked about the protest. Of course, it's true. We cannot run away from there are logistics. In operations like this, they must be funded. If we all agree that it will not degenerate to violence, the police, all the security agencies are there to protect the protesters. But if it turns violent, there must also be alternatives, options laid down by government to see how if it turns violent, how it can be checked. So there are two ways. Our prayer is that, first of all, shelve the plan, and secondly, if it turns violent, then the government is out there to do its statutory responsibilities.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, former director of the Department of State